It was quite late when I returned home after visiting the director's office. Tonight, I will pack all my things and move out. Nearly a year I live with Dustin and Tiffany has been quite fun, at least, I no longer have a boring life like before. But every party comes to an end. Tonight I will say goodbye to the two of them. When I entered Dustin's apartment, I recognized Dustin and Tiffany's voices resounding in Tiffany's private room. They laughed and talked happily when I wasn't here. In my heart, suddenly a little lost. Turns out, were they merely acting in front of me? Could it be that Dustin and Tiffany are a couple? With a blank mind, I walked out the door where I had just entered. I felt completely lost, not knowing where to go. I don't want to go home without success. If I return now, it will only make my parents more worried. I got on the bus, no matter where the driver took me. At Dustin's apartment. After I left for a while, Dustin came out of Tiffany's room with a smiling face. Dustin did not return to his room, but waited in front of the door. Dustin knew that I was called to the director's room by his father, and he himself did not pay too much attention because he thought his father called me up just to praise. But it was past midnight, I still didn't return. This made Dustin worried and ran to the company to find me. But of course, the company now has no one anymore.
At Hunter's office. Hunter angrily hit the table.
Damn it. That old man is still too artful. As soon as we conducted an investigation to find evidence about Banks, he discovered it. He must have arranged for Banks to leave his company at this time and sealed all the information.
Vi comforted.
Can't blame yourself. He's someone that even my father is afraid of. But kicking a potential employee out of a rival company is already a success.
Hunter replied.
You are right. This doesn't affect our company's rise.
Dustin spent the whole night walking around the capital city but couldn't find me. The next morning, he rushed to my office. There were only Baron and Curtis in the room. Baron asked.
What's wrong, boss? Aren't you going with your girlfriend today?
Dustin hurriedly asked.
Don't you guys know where she is? She hasn't come home since yesterday.
Baron and Curtis's faces are also a bit unsightly at this time. The three of them waited together for my arrival with worried faces, but of course that was impossible. I am no longer an employee of this company. From now on, I am just a memory in their mind. Originally, I was going to say goodbye to them, but the events I saw last night left me in no mood. During lunch break, Dustin was called to the director's office by his father. He also rushed over because the only clue right now was the director's room, which was the last place I went before going home. Seeing Dustin's hurried face rushing to the door, Dustin's father said,
Calm down. Why are you in such a hurry? Is there any dignity left?
Dustin grabbed his father's shoulder and asked,
Dad, do you know where Banks went? She didn't come home all night.
He replied.
He must have moved out. Information that he is not a female has been leaked, leaving him as the only option to preserve the reputation of our company. From my conversation with him yesterday, I know that you and him are just contract lovers. There's no love at all. Why are you so tenacious?
Dustin shook his head and said,
You don't understand. At first, she may just be a stranger in my life, but later on, she is an irreplaceable piece in my life. I know her while playing games. I know I was scammed by her. But other than that, she was the only one who honestly talked to me, making me forget the pain of my previous love. The act of defrauding money is just an incomprehensible youth, but it does not hide the true nature of a person. Through long contact, I know she is actually a very nice and simple person. The debt repayment contract is just an excuse for me to get in touch and learn more about her, not something forced.
Dustin's father said.
But he is a man. How can you develop feelings for him?
Dustin continued.
Maybe she doesn't have any feelings for me, but I really love her. Between a girl who always values interests and a sincere guy, I do not hesitate to choose the second one. I believe time will help her to change her mind. Not to mention, I think the person I love is a real girl. She was a simple person, the joy of wearing female clothes, living the life of a girl, was evident on her face. She's just an ordinary girl like any other girl.
Dustin's father nodded.
I understand. So now, what are you going to do? As the head of the company, I cannot allow the company to suffer any negative influence. I also do not allow you to leave the company. You are a genius. All my efforts are for you to one day sit in my chair in the future.
Dustin said.
Yes, I understand. If I had to choose between her and the director's position, I would definitely choose her without thinking. But not everything I want can be done. Not to mention, it doesn't even have to be. Subversion Corporation. I don't want to attack it because I still have some respect for Hunter. But once he's crossed the line, depriving my girlfriend, I'll deal with him myself.
Dustin's father was satisfied.
Very good. That's the spirit. If you can handle the problem this time, I believe it's time to retire.
After leaving the director's office, Dustin went directly to Baron, Curtis, and Tiffany.
I know you guys just finished a big project, but right now, can you give me a hand with this?
Baron happily replied.
If it is related to my sister-in-law, we are willing.
Curtis and Tiffany also nodded in agreement. After work, the four of them gathered together and left the company. On the way, they suddenly encounter Vi, Hunter's girlfriend. Vi used a disdainful tone to say to Dustin.
Wow. It's a small world. I didn't expect to see you all here.
Dustin replied without emotion.
Hello? If it's okay, please get out of our way.
Vi smiled and said.
Why are you so cold? We were once lovers after all.
Tiffany replied.
A vile person like you has no right to say that.
Vi was a little angry.
Vile? I only follow someone with greater potential. When I was in university, the reason I chose him was because his family background was not ordinary. But until now, he is still just a young master, unable to become the real boss of Heroic Corporation. I choose Hunter, who has stood at the top and has everything in his hand. What's wrong?
Baron pointed to Vi's face.
That's why a person like you can't be equal to my sister-in-law forever.
Vi sneered.
Haha, your sister-in-law? Dustin hasn't revealed to you that Banks is a man disguised as a woman? He's also powerless to choose someone like that.
Baron froze, turned to Dustin and asked.
Really, boss?
Dustin nodded with no intention of denying. Baron turned the finger pointing Vi to Curtis.
Why are you so calm? Isn't this a surprise?
Curtis said.
I know that. Just pay attention and you'll know.
Baron shouted.
Turns out everyone knows, only I don't know. How can a man be so beautiful? If my sister-in-law hadn't had a boyfriend, I would have jumped into flirt.
Tiffany's face was serious.
Don't talk nonsense.
Baron turned to face Vi again.
It doesn't matter. My sister-in-law is still as beautiful as you. As for your personality, you are far from equal to my sister-in-law. You are not worthy of my boss. My sister-in-law is much better.
Vi was surprised by Baron's attitude.
You know the truth, but you still accept it? Indeed, only you all can play together. I don't know what you're thinking. Just wait for you to get buried with Heroic Corporation.
Baron was about to open his mouth to swear, but Dustin stopped him. He told Vi.
Heroic Corporation will not be buried. On the contrary, be careful with your Subversion Corporation.
Vi smiled scornfully.
Let's see how long you can say that sentence.
Finally, Vi turned and left in anger.